Now, December the 3rd is International Day of Persons with Disabilities. More than 1 billion people experience disability, and this figure is predicted to rise. Despite this, few countries have adequate mechanisms in place to respond fully to the health priorities and requirements of persons with disabilities. This is why the theme for this year is leadership and participation of persons with disabilities towards an inclusive, accessible, and sustainable post-COVID-19 world. Iniolu Akpopola compiled this report.
3 visually impaired people share their stories on how it has been for them being accepted into the society.
Exactly June 2018, I finally lost my sight. And one day I was watching television because everybody ran away, everybody left me. I remained inside for 2 years. Nobody was even coming to see me.
People living with disabilities are said to be one of the most excluded groups in our society and are among the hardest hit in crisis in terms of fatalities. Statistics have shown that there are about 25 million persons living with disabilities in Nigeria, with most of them due to lack of proper medical facilities. And in a country where matters concerning the citizens are being discussed each day, it is believed that there should be at least a person living with disability in the midst.
We have a generation right now that could be stereotypical about people with disability, and because of our nature in Nigeria, people tend to look down on them. But we are out there to do what we call the advocacy. We advocate for people who are disabled, and we encourage inclusive employment for them so that they also can know they are part of a community where they are loved, accepted, and where they could even showcase what they can do.
Special schools are good. They've served their purpose, but in this era, it's strengthened that perception that people with disability are people apart, and that's the whole essence of inclusive education, to have an education environment where children with special needs, children with disability learn at their own pace, in their own way, unique ways, but still along with other children.
While the number of people living with disabilities increase, experts say there is an urgent need to include them in decision-making and leadership positions. Iniolu Akpopola, TVC News, Lagos.
Happy International.
All right. Joining me now is a lawyer and founder, Super Parents, Mufuluasho Liasu, as well as disability advocate and ambassador, Super Parents, Olawale Dada. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. Good morning. Now, let me even begin from the point of the persons living with disabilities law that that was signed into law recently by the president 3 years ago. And according to reports, 23 states are yet to domesticate that. But of the 13 states that have done that, what has changed since that period for you?
Well, first of all, thank the president for the law. I thank the people who have domesticated the law. But a lot still needs to be done, because yes, we have disability-friendly states now, but yet we don't have inclusive states.
Right, they are two different.
They are two different.
Help us understand it better.
Well, having a disability-friendly society is having your ramp, your building with your ramp, but having an inclusive society is making sure everyone understands disability. Your policeman understands disability, every employer understands disability, and put their organizational structure in such a way that every one of us can find a place there. So you don't just look at me that cerebral palsy, you can't be my marketer. I can be your digital marketer.
Right.
That's if
Inclusivity.
by now we should not have banks still having doors that a persons on wheelchair cannot
pass
enter.
through, yeah.
We should not still have banks whereby the customer care is upstairs. What about? So that's part of the
inclusivity that you're talking about. All right. We understand now what inclusivity is and friendly states, disability-friendly states is. And so perhaps that helps us better understand what the needs of the persons living with disability really are. But still talking this domestication, what do you think are the issues that is making it quite challenging for states to perhaps adopt and become an inclusive state and not just a friendly state?
Okay. Well, I think maybe not understanding what the policy is all about. And in Africa, we have this superstition and everything, and the wrong narrative that is still, causing a lot of issues culturally. And I think a lot of people have not been able to understand what this policy is all about, ratifying this Disability Act. So, and then support from the government, support from private persons, support from companies. Disability is expensive. Managing disability is expensive. So for us to ratify Disability Act, for them to domesticate it, they need support. Part of the laws is access to healthcare. There must be access to healthcare, free healthcare. Is all this available? They are not available. This is part of the issues that is stopping some states from domesticating the act.
Now, let me come back to you now. When we talk about inclusivity and people understanding the issues surrounding persons with disability, how far have we come with perhaps advocacy, educating people? Because we always celebrate or commemorate this year, yet we are still seeing that there is a wide gap in terms of people understanding issues surrounding persons living with disability.
We've done a good job in advocacy, awareness, but the major problem still is the understanding of the law itself, the UN law. It's not for us to see disability as charity, welfare. It's about prestige of human life. It's about respect of human rights.
Right.
These are what is missing. These are the missing link. So yes, in our society, we still do outreach to disability.
Charity and all.
We are charity, but the core of the law is still absent. Hence, there's still absence in inclusivity. And the problem also is the message carrier.
Disseminating the information.
For example, pardon me, Yoruba thing, the Yoruba Nollywood, I can tell you what 7 out of 10 is measured on 3 things. Disability is a word from the God, ritual purpose, or a consequence of a past evil. So you find that people watching this movie, they relate with us with that subconsciously or consciously from that perspective. And that makes you look at what has really changed. So that's the issue.
So how do we change this kind of mindset, this perspective, where, like he pointed out, there's this perspective that is being, certain section of the society is creating.
Yeah.
How do we change this image? How do we make people understand that human rights is what is the issue here?
Yeah. Is advocacy. We have to go to the grassroots. We have to speak their language. This, most times we do it in towns, we have to go to the grass. We have to be able to interpret the law to them. There are so many places we've not been to. Yes, there's advocacy on the social media, on the TV.
Everywhere.
People that are actually concerned, people that believe in these narratives, as this information reach them, as this advocacy actually reach them, do they understand that disability is not superstition, it's not spiritual, it's not this, it's not that. Even we are talking about the act. Those people that are concerned, a lot of persons living with disabilities are poor, they're in the village and everything. Do they even know about this act? Do they even know the uses? Do they know the advantages of this particular law? As the information be disseminated to
who is
those
supposed to take this information to them?
We have, of course, we have, thank God for Lagos. We have an agency, LASODA, you understand? LASODA is in charge of that, taking information to them. They're doing their best compared to other states, but they still need to do more. They still need to do more. We need to go to the grassroots. A lot of children with disabilities are dying because of ignorance. Some of them are killed because they call them evil child, they call them snake child, because they just don't understand. It's not fault of them because they don't understand. From generations to generations, this is what they understand. That, okay, albino is spiritual, albino they are orishas, albinos are disability, because that is what they know. And because, the truth is that managing disability is hard. The economy itself is hard for an average person. Talk less of someone living with disabilities or a parent having a child with disabilities. So he or she would just want the easiest way out. So this information needs to be carried. There should be access to health care. They have to understand that, okay, fine, there's no cure, but this disability can be managed. They can go to school, they can learn to thrive in an inclusive society, but they don't know. And even if they know, they don't have the wherewithal. They don't have the finances. So this is where funds and support come in.
Right. You want to add something?
I want to add.
Yeah.
I think we'll do a lot if we change our message carrier. We need to get the traditional leaders involved.
Community communicators.
Yes,
because those are people that can change the narrative that disability is not something from the God, maybe Shopano. No, serious. These
are our religious houses are not
and our religious house. We should stop using persons with disability as a poster image for your conference, for your deliverance service. It's wrong. God is more than just healing the cripple. God is more than that. So we need to bring in more message carrier that can reach the trainings, the grassroots.
All right, we have joining the conversation via Zoom disability rights advocate and secretary, Lagos Albinism Awareness Society, Motolani Ojuri. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Right. Quickly, we have been talking about issues around persons living with disability, the fact that awareness or a friendly state is different from an inclusive state. And we also talked about the fact that 23 states so far have neglected domesticating the Persons with Disabilities Act, and that the 13 that have so far domesticated it, what has changed from your perspective?
The flagship state in this whole narrative is Lagos State. They started it, they have their own Lagos State Special Persons Law, and they've adopted the national one, the Disability Bill. And well, I could say that Lagos State has got to the Office of Disability Affairs, and the narrative is changing, but there's still so much to be done. It's one thing to have the law. It's another thing for the implementation of the law to take place. For instance, the Lagos Special Persons Law on its own, and that was like 2010, way back 2010, 2011, gives free education, free healthcare, access to public transportation, and this thing is still not there. So it's one thing to have the law, it's another thing to domesticate, it's another thing to like full implementation of the law. So it's like there has to be so much of discourse, firm handshakes between the arms of government, there has to be serious synergy between the various arms of government, the ministries and all that, so that it is not just paying lip service to it or saying that, oh yes, we have a law. But the thing is, the people who are supposed to be beneficiaries of the provisions of this law, are they really getting it? Are they really feeling the impact? So that's really the grassroots, the people, the lowest of the low. So that is the whole idea. And persons with disabilities too should not just sit on the sidelines saying that, oh, waiting for government. They should speak up. They should step up advocacy. They should step up in everything. They should ask for these rights. The laws are there, read through it and ask. Because it's from the research I've done so far, even some government agents don't even know the law exists. They don't even know the provisions of this law. And they are supposed to be the key players or some parts of this law. So it's like we should step up the conversation. It is like nothing for us, without us. There's no way you can plan and implement without the person who are the real beneficiaries of the provisions of this law. So it's like it lies with us, persons with disabilities, more.
Right, and if we are to step up our game with regards to this law, implementing it, where do we begin for you? I'm still staying with you, Motolani Ojuri. Where should we begin? Are you saying that those who are involved, as persons living with disabilities, are to drive conversations and engagement with government and the people who are necessary to understand what the laws are?
Well, yes, that's one of the reasons why I'm on this program this morning. The law is there. I'm asking the Commissioner of Health why there is no full implementation of free health services for persons with disability. If you go to General Hospital, they will toss you. They will tell you that they don't have provisions for it, and they send you back to the ministry. And like, yeah, we're calling them out this morning. Yeah, the Commissioner for Health, the chief medical director for the general hospitals, they should just come and tell us what the problems are. Because if you go to the Office of Disability Affairs, they will tell you, oh, no, we go to the Ministry of Health, you've not gotten a response, there's no approval, and all that. So really now we are sitting on them. We're not fighting them. We're telling them, tell us what the problems are. We're talking to them directly, and we're really calling them out now. Free education. You're telling me, oh, it's just tuition. Tuition to, just tuition, primary school, secondary school, even that tuition, person with disability are not getting it, just a few. So these are the things that, access to transportation, that is even virtually not there. So these are the things that we are looking at, and we are really pushing that, oh, okay, we are not just mouthing it, we are engaging the stakeholders in this space.
Right. And that would be a fine place to leave the conversation. Unfortunately, we do not have much time to continue this conversation, but I want to believe that you agree with everything that Motolani Ojuri has said. Thank you so much, Disability Rights Advocate and Secretary, Lagos Albinism Awareness Society, Motolani Ojuri, for your time. We must also thank you, lawyer and founder, Super Parents, Mufoluwasho Liasu, as well as Disability Advocate and Ambassador, Super Parents, Olawale Dada, for your time on the program. Thank you so much.